that something?
Yeah, that was really odd. Michigan's weird like that. It seems as though the weather's always like that. Why do you think that is?
Well, ever since the Industrial Revolution, weather's been starting to spike in climate, but I don't know if that's relevant.
Is that humans are changing the composition of the atmosphere. And with the emission of greenhouse gases, a little bit less energy which is released by the Earth to go back out to space is caught and trapped in the Earth's atmospheric system. And it's not that much, but maybe 1% or 2%, but over time and over a very large area, it's enough energy to cause an increase in temperature. And we have seen warming globally here for at least the last century or so, and of course more is projected for the future, primarily as a result of these increases in greenhouse gases. So there are changes, both natural changes, and there also are human-related changes. There are some other human-related changes in climate that are due to changes in land use and in changing large areas of the Earth's surface in how reflective they are, what types of plants are grown on them. Those also possibly lead to changes in climate as well.
Well, that was the past. What about now? Is global warming still dangerous?
Yeah.
It should be known that global warming is related mainly to the concentration of carbon dioxide in the air. When the concentration of carbon dioxide in the air goes down, global cooling prevails, and ice is formed. As a result, it has been recorded in the past that the surface of the Earth was covered by ice. When the concentration of carbon dioxide increases to normal levels, the global temperature rises, and global warming takes place, and so on. Increases and decreases the concentration of carbon dioxide in the past happened naturally, as a result of volcanoes and burning of forests and other natural forces. It took a long time to initiate global warming. However, recently, man, through his increasing activities of industry, agricultural, and other sectors, consumed very large quantities of fossil fuels. Consequently, large amounts of carbon dioxide are released in the atmosphere. These effects occurred in relatively short time compared to natural effects. Global warming takes place gradually, as a result of the increase of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases.
Well, why are people not caring about this?
Well, there are a lot of reasons why people aren't paying much attention. Like, there's not a lot of programs spreading knowledge, and people don't really need to be informed. The need for incentives in exchange for the work, the expensive costs for greener technology, and there are much more reasons.
Do you think that if people don't do something to help, it might affect our future?
I think it will. In the next decades, dry weather might even threaten life.
Well, Travis, what do you think we should do?
Well, in my opinion...
Okay, so here are my thoughts. Take it from an average American person's position, you can tell they're quite comfortable resting at home, driving work, and heating their house. But all this uses energy. So what? Energy equals energy in most people's minds. That's not the problem. What the problem comes from is where the electricity is created. Most of the kinds of energy we find is from combustion of coal and other fossil fuels as they burn and boil in water, which creates steam to power turbines that power our houses. How does this relate? Many people don't care how their electricity comes into their house, they just want it. Now, in Oakness, we all have the power that comes directly from the Board of Water and Light. I can 99% guarantee you this is how your house is powered. Why? The Board of Water and Light has a monopoly throughout the greater Lansing area, so they control all of your electricity needs. The government makes sure that they have no competition in the market in exchange for a bit of governmental control. Wrapping this back up, this means the government controls your electricity and controls the pricing of electricity. Let's push this into the global warming/climate change effect. So far, we have not invested a great amount of energy into green fossil fuels and efficiency, such as solar panels, wind turbines, and so forth. Thus, it cannot be mass-produced, and cost over efficiency will be terrible, so it will be hard to push in that direction. Instead, we have to look at what we do have, the power of money. Everybody loves money, and all those who do not care about Earth as much as others will still love money. Some of us do not wish to see into the future. When I say future, I do not mean 5 to 10 years. I mean 100 to 200 years. Anyhow, it would be great if we could all pitch into the future without us even knowing it. We could use this one powerful word that everyone hates once a month: taxes. That is what government lives off of, is what we live on. You know what we love even more than taxes? Tax breaks. These are incentives that are given by the government to help us when we do benign things, such as donating to charity or having kids. Perhaps one thing the government could urge us to lean toward is the purchasing of green technology, recycling, and more. We could get tax breaks for using it, they give the emission levels down. If the government can control the use of better technology, then we will all start producing less emissions and helping out the government. Electric cars, for example. As of today, if one switched to an electric car, their gas bill would drop from $1,400 to $350 per year. This is assuming you're paying the max amount of money for electricity, 27 cents per kilowatt hour, which is the highest end of the electricity cost margin. Not to mention you don't have to pay for oil change. Bonding everything together so far, we get taxes for using greener technology, less emissions get produced by cars, we can use less of the energy that comes from fossil fuels, we all get happier in the end.
That's a good idea, but I think in our community,
It is going to affect the planet in many different ways. Some of them, yes, will be dangerous, to human survival. I think we've seen some of that in some of the tsunamis and the more extreme weather, but it's more just changing the adaptability of everything on Earth. Every species, every plant, everything is going to have to evolve and adjust to a new climate, a new temperature, an entirely new habitat, basically.
In our community, we can always help out to prevent global warming issues. Plant trees so that the air is healthier and fresher. There's a lot of excess CO2 in the air. The proof is around us, and people need to see that. So talk to a teacher or an administrator on how you can inform people around your community on this issue. Use greener technology, and instead of driving a car, hop on the bus once in a while.
what can communities do to help fight global warming?
I think that there are a number of things. One is, above all, I think we have to better educate ourselves, because ultimately some difficult decisions will have to be made by all of us and with our politicians about what, if anything, we need to do about this issue. I personally don't think it's going to go away and that we'll have to deal with it, but that's one. So education is something that's we can't afford to make decisions, very important decisions, without having all the information, and that, of course, that comes with time. So that's one thing, but there also are a number of practical things I think all of us can do. Without question, I think the easiest or simplest thing we can do is to make our use of energy, through which is related to a large fraction of that greenhouse gas emission, to make it more efficient. Conservation, though, and there many times are very, very simple and very, very cost-effective ways of reducing how much energy that we need or we use, and so that's a simple one, and that would be if we were able collectively to do that, it would be a big change. On the other hand, we also need to look long term. Our economies have been based on fossil-based fuels for a long time, and we probably need to have some incentives at a larger scale to at least begin to think about a transition to a different type of economy which uses less, there's much less intensive use of fossil-based fuels, and maybe renewables may be one part of the answer, but there are going to have to be other solutions as well. We need new technologies to do that, and the good news is, I think in human history, humans have usually been able, when faced with very, very difficult challenges, been able to come up with new ways, new knowledge, to engineer themselves a solution, and hopefully that will be the case here too. But I think we have to encourage that. So I see probably a multi-tiered type of approach on what we need to do. But as I mentioned at the beginning, it's ultimately one of the most critical things is we all have to be educated about this issue.
What one can see now as a result of global warming is the gradual increase of average global temperature. In the last few years, as shown in the record, temperature from 1880 to about 2010, as well as seawater level rise. There are also some indications of repeated heavy storms and increase of desertification. If we as a community can work together to help make this a better place, others can too.
And if each community can work hard to become greener and healthier,
we might be able to protect the future generations.
Thanks for watching this documentary, and we hope that you learned today as much as we have.
And remember, global warming is very dangerous. Help out your community to make a better place to live.